growing monster whitetail bucks.
All right, guys, main food plot update here. A lot of growth. This is the main theme of this update. Massive plants, lots of growth, really fast establishment, record set. That is what is happening this year once again. And I also want to show something pretty interesting. I found this buckwheat plant wilted just like you're seeing. And what happened was it was broken off at the base. So I'm going to show you something a little cool here. You know, this plant is still recoverable. Look at that. Brand spanking new roots trying to shoot off. So if I was able to stick this thing in some water, I could revive it. But I'm not going to. So this gets to rot and return the nutrients that the plants desperately need to grow bigger for the next cycle and or the current cycle, because buckwheat does break down very quick. And just to let you know, there will also be spraying. Again, I am trying to eliminate spraying completely and go spray free, but as long as this stuff is in here, it's going to fight everything I plant. And it's getting to become a nuisance, especially these morning coffee plants, the morning glories. Now, deer eat morning glories, but I've got better quality plants than them, and they are affecting my better plants now. So they're going to have to get bit back. Okay, so let's take a little stroll through here. Soybean is advancing. It is strong amongst competition. That's what I like to see. We also have deer vetch that is showing signs that it's taking off. And you can see, hold on a second here, I'll get a better shot of it. So you can see it is now starting to surpass some highly competitive weeds. Okay, so eventually that will outgrow the weeds. Now, if I'm going to spray, that means some of this stuff's going to die. And I'll have to live with that, but the plants I have underneath are spray resistant. So this is going to open up new voids, new areas for competition. And some of these plants that you've seen in the past, after I've sprayed within a week or two, flat out explode. And then mainly that's your soybean. So that's what's going to happen again, except it might be even quicker now that trace minerals are being addressed. So first off, I want to talk about buckwheat sizes. And I don't care to pick a few of these and lose them because there's just so many of them. It don't matter to me. All right, so let's get in here to this particular plant. And we're looking at roots. Whew, what an earthy smell. Look at all that beautiful fungus and bacteria right there. That is beautiful. Okay, look how big this buckwheat's gotten. Okay, really, really thick. Zinc is helping out with that. Believe it or not, they're even thicker than this in many locations. But that is how you get some really favorable roots. See the taproot right here? It's not all that big. I actually got a pretty good chunk of the taproot on that. That wasn't bad. I can see where some rocks were laying there though. Those pits and flat spots. But there you go. Good look at the roots on that. Very, very healthy plants. And there are no holes in my leaves right now. How about that? Look at that. I think what has happened is that the manganese level is getting high enough now that buckwheat is affected in a better, more positive outlook. But what a specimen of a buckwheat plant here. Now this one may not die at all. I could lay this back in here and it may take off, but this was also the other limb, when I just broke more of it off, that was attached with it too. So again, really nice plants. We'll put that right over there and let that rot. If I come across a couple others that are in better shape, we can do that. Sunflowers, you know, some of these were planted later than others, and these are now in catch-up mode. So they're catching buckwheat every day, more and more size difference. Eventually, within a few more days, that sunflower will probably be taller than the buckwheat. Beautiful size soybean in here. This is a totally different beast of a food plot. I believe you know I've planted buckwheat in the past, but I don't think you've ever seen it quite this aggressive and healthy in here. Now I know I increased the buckwheat rates, but the amount and size of these plants is just getting insanely nice. All right, here's a different type of sunflower. Scrawny. That is just a cheap volunteer sunflower that my work gave me from last year. I had one or two volunteers from that. I think that one over there is another one that volunteered. That's fine. I don't care. Extra roots. You can see the soybean in here, how it's protected now and is getting a chance to develop. Now the places it's more open, like these areas, that soybean was getting annihilated more, and it was not as abundant. Now you can see here where the the buckwheat is now getting so large, it is breaking off in storms. That's the first I've seen from that, where it's getting so thick. Here is like this one here. If you're thinking the size, it's below my waist, but it's actually fallen over and turned back up. So if I pull it out of the ground, look at those roots. Okay, that root, right in the middle of your screen is a broken off taproot. Buckwheat does not run deep. You might get a foot deep out of buckwheat. You will not see nodes on these roots. They do not require bacteria. So as you can see, it is not sticking to the roots. That is a telltale sign that bacteria is not needed here. Now, yes, there is clumping because this soil has got so much rotting debris in it on the top. And see how thick this buckwheat has gotten? Almost like miniature trees or bushes now. Beautiful set of plants. This one now can rot and return nutrients that I always say are desperately needed. So he will stay right there and decay. There is so much rotting debris in here, this bacteria is going to be exploding. Again, really strong soybean growth coming in with all this nasty morning coffee. You new guys that's new to this channel, if you ever see that in your food plot, get rid of it immediately. Do not let that flower, or you'll be fighting this for years if it seeds out. Okay, which is what I have been doing for years and starting to win some of the battles now. Okay, really thick and dense in here now. I mean, this tonnage output is insane. So there's probably going to be a decent drop off in some of this buckwheat once the spray begins. So these open pockets that I'm going to destroy morning coffee in will kill the buckwheat, but these other resistant plants will fill in and take over. And that is the whole goal of this particular setup. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is this buckwheat has grown so strong now that it might start choking out some of these plants underneath. I will keep watch on that. If it happens, we will reduce the buck weight. Good Lord. I have been working so many long hours, my brain's about half dead. Buckwheat. I got to be able to speak properly. In here, there was a lot stronger soybean action, but it's being browsed and covered up. So these areas here are going to get cleaned up and taken care of. I see really strong plants across the board. You know, there are a few weak plants in here. I can see a lot of heavy browse right there. See how deer has pushed this down, and all that soybean is topped out. So they're mowing through here at a good clip. But it is helping the majority of the soybean right now. Now down here, wow. Okay, I haven't made it very far in these food plots, mainly because it's just so thick. And I'm trying to keep the soil soft as I can for as long as I can. So we have very strong soybean occurring right there. That is racing out of that buckwheat. I see it all in here. Big soybean plants. Really big soybean plants. Now that they're getting more light, those guys are going to gain momentum too. Where the buckwheat will lose it, the buckwheat will die back, reseed itself, which is fine by me. And then there should be a volunteer wave of buckwheat if the soybean doesn't choke it out. I may not have to plant any buckwheat next year based on volunteer alone. Okay, really good. I mean, that is the theme of this whole plot. Really good here. All right, let's get over here to the groundhog area. He has been eliminated a while back, and I have seen no evidence of one returning yet, but you got to get in here to find out. This is Milo. It is starting to come on now. Okay, let's see what's happening here. This looks like something's been active. Rocks are still filled in. Okay, good. Little bit of weak growth right here. And you can thank these groundhogs for doing this. They're pulling up that old wretched soil and depositing it on the top. See, look at that. All these years of work. And I'm losing it because of the groundhog damage. But I can quickly recover that. Up this way, it's a little easier to walk through here, thank goodness. Nice strong plants. Deer vetch coming right along. I will lose some of that deer vetch. Boy, there's a big old beefy looking buckwheat plant. Barely in the ground. I mean, that is huge. And it breaks very easily, but it's got a nice, here at Chris crack, that's healthy. Healthy plants do that. This thing is built well. And now he can help build other plants. I see deer browsing here. Looks like they may have browsed on some of that deer vetch right here. I think that's what I'm seeing. Yep. Earliest on record. We got browse in here. It's hard to spot it when you got giant buckwheat plants all over the place. Let's get up here to the cowpeas. this is taking longer to do a video just because it's so hard to walk through here. All right, cowpeas right here. All volunteer cowpeas. Okay, they are now kicking it into a new gear. And this zinc, there's no telling how much of an effect it's going to have on them. I mean, I got vines 12 to 16 feet last year. And now that we fixed zinc, let's see what happens, right? It may get even more aggressive than it did before. Sun hemp's looking strong. I mean, I can go just about anywhere in here and show you strong plants now. Getting harder and harder to find weaker ones. Except for these. This is where I think the iron problem's kicking in, because my nitrogen is definitely not the issue here. Beautiful. All these are getting thick. This will only accelerate. 10 to 14 days, that will look totally different. Getting plenty of rain to go with it too. And I don't have that much to spray. Most of it's down here on the lower end right now. And then maybe a decent portion of section 1. Big, heavy plants up here. See, now we're getting green. Look at that. That's probably some of the deeper green I've seen in a while. These plants are producing nitrogen, so let's look at one of these. If I spent, and I broke that one. All right. I broke that one too. These roots on cowpeas are very easy to break. Let me try another one over here. And believe me, I don't mind pulling these guys. They will cover up any hole. Okay. There you go. Bad boys at work right there. Good job, bacteria. Pretty good set right there. There probably was more, but I broke a lot of these roots off. And some of them will probably get ripped off when you pull it up. We'll let that one rot. And try up this way a little bit. I still see cowpeas actually still sprouting. That's crazy. All right, let's see here. Let's try this one. Well, that's an ugly set of roots. That one grew on a rock. That ain't, see how that's, come on camera. See, one nodular, the roots just couldn't get out to where the bacteria were down in the soil as much. That's why these plants are harder to produce, is all the rocks in here. But the fact that I've got this much growth on rocky ground is incredible. And my pH ain't even balanced. Another nice looking sunflower. I can tell calcium is off just by looking at it. Well, here we go, guys. It has taken 4 years. My first set of browse on the cowpea. Took 4 years. Finally, we have browse on these things. Okay, so I knew eventually they would have to. I was just having to wait it out. 4 years. Man, this buckwheat is not letting up. Anywhere I go in here, I can tell it's not as trunky looking. The potassium levels are falling off the further up we go. That potassium makes a huge difference. And here, let's see. You know what? It's hard to see it, but there's a bit of a magnesium problem right there. Again, I haven't addressed that stuff yet. I was hoping There are a few more plant cycles. It is creeping up, don't get me wrong, it's creeping up, but I probably will address it when I lime it. I see some healthy deer vetch, a tiny bit of browse on the buckwheat. I never hardly get much. Okay, up here, big plant drop off. Okay, this is still pretty good. Screen wall was right through here, and it's really showing poor potassium right here. Very tiny plants. See, oops, see that right there? That's soybean. Huh. Super tiny. That's poor soil. That sunflower's enjoying it though. Okay, a lot more spraying opportunities up here. I see a lot of morning glory vines that's going to have to be addressed. The morning coffee is nowhere near as bad up here. It's about gone. Almost gone. Ragweed, you know, that's 20% protein, but again, better plants than that. Really good. You know, this is not bad for section 1 at all. At all. Okay, it's pretty obvious this buckwheat is just not as strong up here. A little potassium will go a long ways up here, and I will treat it here very soon. Big drop off over here at the rocks. See how hard it is initially. It's getting better, but it's just really hard to get this stuff to go. Now, a good round of potassium will straighten a lot of this out. But when you got so many rocks together, these roots are going to have a very hard time finding space. And that's the biggest problem you're seeing now. But it is getting smaller, because this spot here used to be part of the problem too. And they're getting bigger now. So time, patience, will be fine. This side over here, again, needs more potassium, and it'll have a much healthier start. Really powerful stuff going on right there. Cowpeas galore, growing very strong. We'll take a quick look at that and then we'll end the video here. And while we're at it, two big boys. That'll hurt a tiller. Now it won't. I can see big magnesium problem right there. That's not good. Okay. Yeah, these are in pretty darn good shape for section 1. Very strong, getting very shiny. That copper's helping. There's another new sunflower busting through right there. Some morning coffee. Very little this year. So we're trying to push it down the hill and get rid of it. Oh, you know what? I'll save the new section for its own video. And you'll see why I did that. But that sunflower right there is looking stellar. All kinds of good stuff happening up here. Really green in here, and needs a little more assistance right here. All right, guys, that's it. Update is finished. I hope you like these videos. And for those of you that's been following along, I hope you can see the differences that this plot is going through to grow bigger deer. Have a good one.